Blue Moose, Jim, what's your dream? Doinga, doinga, don't go in the 5-foot. And that was just a gorgeous snapshot of my childhood adventures. Specifically with my sister Jenny. Jenny is 2 years older than me, and she's the coolest person I know. My sister Jenny, named after a kind nurse in the hospital, is not the typical prototype for coolness. She doesn't have some fancy job. She's a middle school special ed teacher. She doesn't wear chic clothes. She's always in a Winnie the Pooh sweatshirt, and she wears these denim capris that has like a button on the side. It's not gonna button to anything. She's not the coolest person I know because she lives in a mansion overlooking the beach. Instead, she lives in a suburban home in Illinois that's painted a hideous mint chocolate chip color. She's the coolest person I know because she doesn't care about being cool at all. She never has. Even at the age where everyone was trying to fit in and cool was at its highest currency, Jenny sported a super short, tight-permed hairdo looking like a Karen in training. She was the first one to fall asleep at sleepovers and would often say things like, my old stomping grounds, and what a terrific scrapbook, is that bric-a-brac? She was and always has been just Jenny, never trying to impress anyone or hustle for worthiness. As kids, Jenny and I, we never tried to strive to be cool because we were so far from it. We did, however, try to be good. We were raised in a Korean Christian household, and we knew we had to act right. But even good girls got to be bad sometimes. So we relied on our harmless chaos to let out some of that steam. She was the one that introduced this idea of life points to me. It's this idea that we're all born with a certain amount of points and that you can spend them however you want. But if you spend points on being cool, that would directly subtract from your fun points. So the following are some ways that we lost our cool points but gained many fun points in return. Blue Moose. Blue Moose was a game that Jenny would play at me. Not so much a game, but a torturous ritual where every time we would sit in the backseat of a car, she would grab my kneecap, squeeze it repeatedly, and scream, "Blue Moose! Blue Moose!" I have an unreasonably ticklish kneecap, so I would squeal with laughter and simultaneously plead with her to stop. I would get her back because anytime we would sit next to each other at dinner, and if I'd want to get rid of a gross piece of chicken or a piece of gristle, I would just sort of slide it onto her plate, making her plate the trash plate. A disgusting habit that I admit I still haven't quite broken. Another way I'd get back at her is if she was foolish enough to walk up a set of stairs in front of me, she would feel my wrath as I'd swiftly ram my index fingers up her butthole with great force. In Korean, we call this 똥침, aka poop needle. To this day, she always walks up sideways, eyeing me peripherally, kind of holding her hands over her butthole. Anytime she says "Blue Moose," I grab my knees instinctually. And now I'm realizing these are less nostalgic moments and just more lasting childhood trauma. Doinga, doinga. Our family went to church every Sunday, and after service, we'd go to the mall. This should have been a fun treat, but my parents would take us to the least fun place in the mall, the third floor of a local department store, to peruse the sheets and linen section. We weren't quite old enough to wander around the mall by ourselves, so we'd drag our lifeless corpses around, following our parents as they talked about queen versus king and what kinds of fabrics would be good for the summer. We dreaded doing this every Sunday until we realized that right by the linen section was the lingerie section. You may be thinking that we were a couple of little freaks who were curious about silky unmentionables and sexy boudoir sets, but that is not what we were interested in at all. Jenny and I would make our way to the back of the lingerie section where the biggest cotton briefs were individually hung. Methodically and intentionally, we'd go around to each massive cotton panty and we'd pull down on the crotch part of the underwear with our 2 fingers and say, "Doinga, doinga, doinga, doinga." And then move to the next pair of underwear, and you guessed it, we'd hit it with that doinga, doinga. Even if the cool kids from our school saw us, I don't think we'd care because we were too busy collecting our fun points. We treated it like it was our job, like we couldn't clock out and get home to our kids if we didn't doinga our quota. And I guess this is just sort of a good time to just remind everyone, always wash your clothes before you wear them. You don't know when some little freaky kid is doinga doinga in your panties. Stay safe out there, y'all. What's your dream? When I was 11 and Jenny was 13, we loved going to the grocery store with our mom. We'd always try to sneak candy into the cart without her noticing, and we did our best to keep up with her insane speed walking. Why did moms walk so fast in the grocery store? Yeesh. Around this time, two major things happened. One, our family got a brand new Dodge Caravan, the kind that would have that wood paneling on the side. And two, Jenny and I had just watched the movie Pretty Woman. We were arguably a little too young to watch a movie about a misunderstood sex worker and the businessman that saved her. But nonetheless, we were hooked. More than the movie, we were obsessed with this one character who bookends the movie with a line that went, "What's your dream? Everybody got a dream in Hollywood." It was also around this time that our normal insistence to accompany our mom to the grocery store stopped because we had activated a new game. This game was when we'd watch our mom walk into the grocery store, made sure she was in there. We'd unlatch the windows of the minivan. I don't know if y'all remember those. There's not so much a window, so much as like a slat, like big enough to maybe like put a small journal through. So we would lay flat against the long back seats and wait till some unassuming person would walk by. As they'd pass, we'd scream the line, "What's your dream? Everyone in Hollywood has a dream." We'd love to watch people's reactions as they looked around justifiably startled. We'd stifle our laughter long enough to witness our victims swivel their heads around and try to figure out who the hell was yelling at them. Sometimes we'd hear people say, "What?" We felt like we were getting away with something. Of course we weren't, because anyone could have obviously figured it out that the screaming was coming from the Dodge Caravan that was visibly shaking from side to side. Classic diva behavior. Don't go in the 5-foot. Another place Jenny and I loved going was the swimming pool. We both joined our community swim team, and at the end of the summer, we were both awarded with the coveted prize of Most Improved. Yeah, it was cool. We jumped at the chance to swim anytime we could. The local pool, any shitty motel, even the large stainless tub that my mom made kimchi in was close enough to be a pool to get us pumped. So you can imagine our excitement when the weird girl in our neighborhood, Lizzie Matson, got an underground pool put into her backyard. That was our mecca. When we finally caught the invite to swim, we were elated. The pool day came and we were on our best behavior. We kept our voices down, brought our own towels, and brought her little gifts as a thank you. That day, we did handstands in the pool, played mermaids, and of course did that George Washington hair flip thing. We were all having the time of our little dorky ass lives. But then something took a turn. We noticed that Lizzie seemed frustrated and she just kept repeating, "Don't go in the 5-foot, don't go in the 5-foot. We were genuinely confused and asked why not. We later discovered that Lizzie was feeling left out because she was scared to swim into the deep end, the 5-foot, and we were swimming the length of the pool. Now, I cannot state this enough. Jenny and I were the furthest thing from mean girls. We were both very conscious of never leaving anyone out. But Lizzie was being kind of annoying. I mean, understandably, she didn't want to admit that she was scared, so she just kept repeating, "Don't go in the 5-foot, don't go in the 5-foot. My mom said don't go in the 5-foot, and when my mom says don't go in the 5-foot, don't go in the 5-foot. And even though we agreed that we wouldn't, she just kept saying don't go in the 5-foot. We stood there trying to figure out what the hell was happening. And then when we were fed up, I look over to see Jenny, and a mischievous grin spreads across her face, and she looks at me and says, "Yeah, Mary, don't go in the 5-foot. Now, don't go in Korean translates to little pussy. She continued, "Mary, if her mom said don't go in the 5-foot, don't go in the 5-foot. So now Jenny and I cannot stop laughing, visualizing a loose pussy just kind of floating around in the deep end of this pool. And then listen, if her mom says if there's a loose pussy in the 5-foot, there's a loose pussy in the 5-foot. Lizzie, feeling like she wasn't in on the joke, promptly kicked us out. We had lost access to the only neighborhood pool forever, but we didn't even care. We walked home in our wet towels, cracking up thinking about the tonko that lived in the deep end, imagining where else the tonko could be. Tonko's in the Shark Tank. Tonko running with scissors. Tonko running in the woods at night. Don't go there. Years later, I would text her, "Don't go chasing waterfalls, Jenny." Again, classic diva behavior. It's funny to me that I actually now live in LA and work in Hollywood. And if someone were to ask me, "What's your dream?" today, I think my dream would be less about being some big movie star and more about just having these little jolts of joy that I used to feel with Jenny. When I go home to visit my family in Illinois, she always picks me up from the airport. She takes me back to her mint chocolate chip house. She pours me some water from her fridge in some scratchy plastic cup that's been through the dishwasher one too many times. She feeds me some insanely Midwestern meal like chicken Alfredo from a jar, and she still lets me scoop the weird pieces of chicken onto her plate. After dinner, we'll put away the leftovers and load the dishwasher as we tell her daughter stories about the two of us growing up, about Toinga Toinga and the like. And though my niece looks at us like she's dying from secondhand embarrassment, from time to time, I catch her lips form into an involuntary smile as she pictures her mom as a girl. And I see that even she knows, like we all do, that Jenny is extremely cool. Thank you.